The search is on for 3 people who police say at a Savannah rapper, a member of his entourage. It happened in Los Angeles and cameras captured the aftermath.
A snitch inside the circle. A rapper betrayed, and now over 230 gigabytes of secrets handed straight to the feds. What just happened to Lil Durk is bigger than music hit could mean life behind bars. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear, it changes everything. He gave his man $50,000, called him family, but that same man may have worn a wire, and helped the feds build a case that could end Lil Durk's life forever. This is not just a story, it's betrayal at the highest level. And trust me, it gets darker. The feds have been watching. The inner circle is collapsing. And now, someone Durk trusted like a brother just exposed the whole operation. If you think this is just about lyrics or rap, you're wrong. This is a federal takedown in real time. Earlier today, Lil Baby took to social media with a strong message. I do not care about anything else right now except for Durk. Free the bro. His words came right after news started spreading that Durk could finally be getting out on bond. According to Durk's father, this was their 3rd attempt, and this time, his legal team presented something so solid that the judge had no reason to say no. Durk's dad had just left the courtroom and explained what happened during the bond hearing. This was at least the 3rd time we've been here, he said, but today felt different. He said the judge was fair, not favoring the defense or the prosecution. He really listened to everything presented and is expected to make his decision in the next few days. Durk's father seemed hopeful, thanking everyone for their prayers and asking them to keep supporting. God willing, he added, we will get a decision that goes in our favor. Then came a major moment. Prosecutors dropped key evidence against Durk. Right there in court, they told the judge they were throwing it out, and they even read it out loud in front of everyone. This sudden move gave hope that Durk could be released soon. One news outlet described the scene, saying, prosecutors stood in court and publicly removed their own evidence, which could change everything for Durk's bond hearing. Part of what they dropped included some of Durk's lyrics. One of the lines they read was, they told me they got an addy. Go check the location. Go look on the news. See your son screaming no, no, no. At that very moment, they played actual footage of Quando Rando crying out during a real incident, adding shock and tension to the courtroom. There was a man shown in the courtroom who had been in the car during the event. He looked shaken, overwhelmed by what he saw. The fact that prosecutors shared this footage and then chose to drop the evidence anyway could stick in the judge's mind when making a final decision about Durk's release. Even Charleston White had something to say after all this. Clearly, the courtroom moment sparked reactions from all over. And now, everyone's watching closely to see what happens next.
This is a real victory. Now that demonic force was a dark force. It was a dark energy. I think we now finally get to put that fire out. I don't think we'll hear drill music ever again. I don't think drill rappers would ever be celebrated ever again. Down goes the drill. So this is a victory for law-abiding Americans who like hip-hop music but don't like the killing part of it.
The drill scene just took a hitting for many everyday hip-hop fans who love the music but hate the violence. This feels like a small victory. Charleston White, never shy with opinions, made it clear he does not support Lil Durk getting out, but despite that, Durk's lawyer, Drew Finneling, stepped forward and revealed his client's possible release date, explaining how the prosecution has started to fall apart in their own. One major claim from the prosecutors has now been dropped. They originally accused Durk of paying a bounty through one of his co-defendants. They even named the person, but now, they have backed away from that claim entirely. This shift clearly shows that the evidence is weakening. It seems they once believed they could prove Durk paid the bounty, but now they know they cannot. Even worse for prosecutors, they can no longer rely on Durk's lyrics as evidence. His lawyer even mocked the charges, saying the entire case rested on lyrics now, the same lyrics the prosecutors refused to use. Here's how it unfolded. At first, an indictment was filed that did not name Durk, but it did include others. Then, a few weeks later, a superseding indictment was filed and, this time, Durk was officially named. What changed? Just one new fact was added, that Durk had allegedly released a music video that celebrated and monetized the crime. While the judge is still deciding whether Durk will be released, things took a dark turn. News broke that Durk was attacked inside his jail cell at LA County Jail. The extent of his injuries has not been shared with the public. but a transfer to another facility is now likely. The situation was serious enough that Kanye West personally called Durk to check in on him. Durk replied, "I'm feeling good, just taking things one day at a time, staying focused." Kanye brought up memories of their time together in Saudi Arabia, and Durk shared how he often tells stories inside jail to other inmates who have never seen life outside. He also mentioned he had just spoken with Diddy minutes before talking to Kanye, but even as Durk tried to stay positive, rumors began flying online. Fans noticed something odd. Quando Rondo and Lil Tim both released interviews on the same day. Both interviews had nearly identical messages and were released right when news of Durk's jail incident came out. Some think it's all a strange coincidence. Others believe it's an intentional move by authorities to avoid linking Rondo and Tim to a possible hit on Durk, especially after what happened to their friend Lil Pab. In those interviews, both men appeared calm and thoughtful. Lil Tim said he was just trying to protect his little brother and that if King Von hadn't acted the way he did that night, maybe he would still be alive. He insisted he meant no disrespect to Von's mother and called himself a humble person, not one chasing attention. Rondo echoed the same tone, saying things could have been handled differently and that a peaceful solution, maybe even a song and some money, might have come from the situation. Still, despite their calm words, many fans believe if Rondo and Tim ever got the chance to retaliate against Durk, they would take it without hesitation. Durk's legal team brought all this up in court, hoping it would help their argument for house arrest instead of jail. A few days later, the judge finally made his decision. Durk appeared in court as headlines reported the Fed's new demand. If Durk wanted bond, he would need to give up all his property and go completely broke. Why? They feared that with so much money at his disposal, Durk might try to fund attacks on witnesses. So, the judge denied his bond. The reason? The court believed Durk had access to far more money than what was offered as collateral, and that made him a flight risk. After the ruling, a viral tweet summed it up. "If you think Durk was denied bond just because he's rich, you don't know the case." The real twist: a key witness, known as DDD's younger brother, reportedly snitched, and prosecutors kept it quiet, possibly to catch Durk's team off guard. This same witness, known as Lil Ted, was caught on body cam footage, begging to testify against Durk and others. This new evidence may be the reason prosecutors dropped the lyric claims they had something stronger now. Durk's lawyers have now asked for more time to respond to this sudden shift. And what makes it worse? Lil Ted wasn't just anyone. He was considered one of Durk's closest guys. Whenever something serious needed to be handled in the streets, whether it was retaliation, pressure, or sending a message, Durk always turned to one person, DDD. He was the one who never hesitated, the one Durk could trust without a second thought. But DDD had a younger brother, Lil Ted, who was always trying to prove himself, even though he was never built for that kind of pressure. Everyone around the crew knew Lil Ted was unpredictable and emotionally weak, but out of loyalty, DDD still tried to protect him. Everything started to unravel one late evening when Lil Ted was hanging around a local convenience store, pacing like he was waiting on someone. Police had already been watching him for a while, especially after a recent string of shootings tied loosely to Durk's circle. When the cops finally approached him and searched his jeans, they found a loaded pistol with an extended magazine, no serial number, no questions asked. It was an instant arrest. One of the officers even looked him dead in the eyes and said, "Kelly really wants your cousin," making it clear this was bigger than just him. They were aiming for someone higher up, someone like Durk or DDD. Even before they reached the police station, the weight of what just happened hit Lil Ted like a ton of bricks. He cracked in the back of the squad car, crying hard, his voice shaking. In between sobs, he blurted out, "I swear I'll tell you everything about the murders." It was a desperate plea, his way of trying to make a deal before they even asked him anything. The officers exchanged looks. They knew they had something. Once they got to the station, they placed him in a holding cell. Lil Ted could not stop crying. His hands trembled, his eyes red and puffy. He kept repeating, "I can tell you who was there, I can give you names." He was not built for jail, and it showed. The walls felt like they were closing in on him, and all he wanted was out. He was ready to hand over whatever they needed: confessions, names, locations, just to save himself. Word got out quickly. Detectives began preparing for a formal interview, and whispers inside the station spread fast. DDD heard the news before sunrise, and when it reached Durk, it was like a punch to the gut. Loyalty had always been everything in their circle, but now it was clear someone on the inside was about to flip. This situation was a turning point. It was not just about a gun charge anymore. It was about what Lil Ted might say and who he might take down with him. Law enforcement had been trying for years to connect Durk and his close associates to deeper criminal activity, and this was their chance. They had a scared young man, related to one of Durk's most trusted soldiers, ready to trade information just to stay out of a cell. Lil Ted's panic not only put himself at risk, but also painted a target on the backs of people who had protected him for years. If he went through with giving names, it would trigger a storm: indictments, surveillance, raids. The streets were already buzzing with tension, and this confession, if recorded and verified, could change everything. One of the officers leaned in, trying to ease the tension. "Breathe. Just calm down," he said gently. But Lil Ted was far from calm. His hands were shaking, his voice was cracking, and he was tossing out names and numbers like he was grasping for a lifeline. "Please," he cried, "I'll tell you everything. Just get me out of here." His desperation filled the room, but the officers kept their tone cool. "Let's see what we can do. Just take it easy," one replied, not promising much but also not shutting him down. The situation was already intense, but it became even messier because of Ted's last name. He shared a surname with his older brother, Didi, a name well known in their circle and on the streets. As soon as court papers became public and people saw the familiar last name, the internet lit up. The rumors started fast and spread even faster. Everyone online began pointing fingers at DDG, mistakenly assuming he was the one talking to the police. What made the mix-up worse was that DDG is not just another name, he is known to be one of Lil Durk's close friends. So when word got out that someone with that surname was cooperating with the cops, fans and blogs quickly jumped to conclusions. Social media posts, YouTube videos, and gossip pages exploded with claims that DDG had flipped. It did not take long before his name was trending, and everyone had an opinion. But the truth was different. It was not DDG, it was Lil Ted, DDD's younger brother, who was panicking and talking to the police. Still, the damage had already been done. Even though the court documents never directly named DDG, people had already made up their minds. The mix-up created a cloud of suspicion around someone who had nothing to do with the situation. And it all started because of a shared last name and a rushed assumption. In the end, one man's fear inside a police station started a storm far beyond its walls online and in the streets alike, in an attempt to shut down the noise and set the record straight. OTF Boo decided it was time to speak up. He jumped on Instagram Live and faced the rumors head-on, with a serious tone and frustration in his voice. He addressed the flood of false claims spreading across the internet. "Y'all do not know what really happened," he said firmly. "The only people who know the truth are the ones who were actually sitting in that courtroom." Boo's words came fast and heated. He had clearly had enough of people online playing guessing games with real lives. He continued, "Y'all love acting like detectives with no evidence. First, y'all said Vaughn was a snitch, now it is the next person. It is like a cycle, you hear one thing and suddenly everyone's guilty." His message was clear. People online were too quick to judge without knowing any real facts. The internet had become a place where rumors got treated like truth, and that was putting innocent people at risk. Boo also explained why he kept his own life clean. "This is exactly why I do not mess with illegal stuff," he said. "Y'all be so quick to twist things and try to ruin someone's name. It is like y'all want to see people locked up just for the drama." He was not just defending his people, he was defending his lifestyle, explaining how easily someone's name could be dragged through the mud over something they had nothing to do with. The live was raw, emotional, and passionate. Boo did not hold back. He wanted fans and followers to think twice before spreading false stories. He made it clear that not everything you read online is real, and not everyone being talked about is guilty. By the time he ended the live, his words had already made an impact. Supporters in the comments were thanking him for speaking up, while others realized they may have rushed to judgment. In a world where rumors move faster than facts, Boo's message stood as a reminder. Real life is not a game, and not everything is meant for public opinion. Even DJ academics weighed in on the chaos, pointing out how headlines twisted the facts. One claimed that Lil Durk's co-defendant, King Von's cousin, filed for protective custody, stirring even more confusion. Academics stressed how important it is to understand the full story and read the paperwork before jumping to conclusions. Despite everything, Durk still had one last shot at getting released. Academics asked his lawyer if he would ever consider a plea deal. But Drew Finneling shut that down immediately. "No, we're going all the way," he said. "This is an all-or-nothing case. It's a serious federal conspiracy charge, and if Durk is found guilty, it could mean life in prison." Drew made it clear, Durk didn't participate in any conspiracy. So there is no plea deal on the table. Durk's legal team is relying on one major argument. They believe the case is a violation of his First Amendment rights. Drew explained in interviews, he has a right to express himself through music. People talk about all kinds of things in country, rock, and R&B. But when hip-hop artists do it, it becomes a crime. That's not right. But saying that out loud in a public interview might have backfired. The prosecutors saw the First Amendment argument coming and began building a case to challenge it in court. To make matters worse, tragedy struck again. News broke that Durk's close friend Gleez was killed in Chicago. The timing only added to the storm of rumors. One viral comment asked, "Has anyone seen Jam since he snitched on Durk?" Several members of their circle had already disappeared, and Jam had gone quiet for months after allegedly being exposed as a snitch in an interview with DJ Vlad. Now, with Lil Ted ready to give names, new witnesses surfacing, and federal prosecutors circling closer, Durk's fight is far from over, but his team is standing firm, refusing to fold, and betting everything on one final battle in court. There was a guy named F. Jam, a name that ended up being pretty ironic. He was known on the streets, did 12 years in prison, and when he got out, he made it seem like he'd stayed solid. He gave interviews, claimed he was loyal, and even said Durk gave him $50,000 and sent cards while he was locked up. He told everyone there was no smudge on his name. He wasn't a snitch. But things changed fast. After being out for a short time, Jam was exposed as a federal informant. Word spread that members of the F Crew tracked him down at a house outside Atlanta. Sources say he was punished for snitching on Lil Durk, and a photo from the scene outside that house was shared online. Since then, no one has heard from him. What really threatens Durk in court is what Jam gave to the feds. According to official documents, he handed over 230 gigabytes of digital evidence, including recorded audio, surveillance video, and 20,000 pages of reports. All of that is now part of discovery in Durk's case. The feds claim Durk paid to have two people taken out. Stephen Mack, the man who allegedly killed Durk's brother, DT Hang. And even worse, Jam's own baby mother, who reportedly died after Durk found out Jam was wearing a wire around him. Investigators believe Jam is the key to locking Durk up for all three crimes. One major red flag came during an Instagram Live. In the video, fans noticed Jam doing something strange. He appeared to be holding the collar of his jacket and whispering into it, just like someone wearing a wire. People online immediately caught on. They pointed it out, and that's when the theory came up. Durk already knew Jam was wired. It turns out, Durk had even hinted about this in interviews, suggesting he can spot a snitch from a mile away. "I could talk to someone for 5 seconds and know if they're going to fold," Durk said. That's why, he explained, he stopped letting people know where he lives. Not even his closest friends have been to his house. "My best friend has never even been in my house," he said. "I don't bring people around my kids. I don't do the whole family night at Durk's house thing. Everyone is being watched, and you have to be on guard." Here's what makes this even more emotional. Jam is the same person Durk gave $50,000 to, live on Instagram. But if you rewatch that live closely, you'll notice something interesting in the background. The people around Jam during that live were allegedly the same men connected to the death of Lopab, and there's more. They were also seen jewelry shopping with King Von in older videos, making it clear these weren't strangers. They were tight with Durk and Von, deeply connected to OTF. According to many, they were also the ones trying to get revenge for Von's death. In one of those moments from the IG Live, someone says, "Look at the baby crying. Feed him. Feed him." While another person jokes about holding cash like a baby. They flexed money and mocked those who talked online but never made real moves. One thing is clear. This entire crew was close-knit, and what's unraveling now is way deeper than it seems on the surface. With feds watching, snitches flipping, and heavy charges on the table, it looks like Durk's circle is cracking, and the consequences could be huge.